Night has fallen and you're weary from travel. Stars fill the sky above, and in front of you is a brightly lit wooden house, the only building you've seen for days. You walk toward the house, hearing the sounds of laughter and talk as you reach the door and push it open. You sit down and join the game. It's a cheap buy-in, and not many of the other players are very good. The lady fiddling with dice gets good cards, but has no real strategy. The man to your right seems to just hold on to the highest cards he has, regardless of suit or any consideration of matches. The man in gray across from you, though, he's good. He already had the largest pile of coins when you bought in, and while your winnings grow quickly, you can't quite catch him. One by one, the other players leave the table, sometimes with pique or with wry humor, leaving their winnings with you or the man in gray. Finally, it's just you and the man in gray. He looks at you, full of humor, and winks. Last hand? He deals, you draw, and look at your hand. It's good. It's great. The best hand, in fact. A royal straight flush. Spades. Aces high. But the man in gray pushes forward his whole pile. You're not sure exactly how much it is, but it's more than you've got. You can't match that. The man in gray stops you. Now, if you like, I'll let you wager your word. I know you'll be good for it. Just promise you'll pay the debt, however I ask. The man in gray smiles. All right, then. I'll call.
Huh? 原来是魔术师啊！
Well, your luck wasn't so good, was it? That's quite the hand, but not for the game we're playing. I'm afraid you owe me. Your life, sure, but more than that. Your labor.
哇，游戏声好大声哦！调38就好了。好。
You see, this land is built on stories. It's one big story, this country, woven of many small ones. Few of the small ones are strictly true, and the big story is mostly a lie. All the stories and songs and myths and legends start somewhere, with a seed. As they're told and retold and passed around, they grow and change to become the stories we know.
看他的歌很赞呢，不行，再大声一点好了。我大概今天看游戏可不可以调？
To pay your debt to me, you'll be carrying stories, finding the seeds first and then spreading them, telling them onwards so they can begin gaining strength. This is no light task. Stories are heavy. Most of the stories you'll find will be small seeds. They might be true, but they'll grow wild and unbelievable with the telling. The more important stories are the true ones, the ones people will tell you about their own lives. Those often get lost in the weaves of the big story. The more true stories you can find and tell, the more you can weave that truth into the big story. Tarnish it a bit perhaps, but isn't a dingy and battered truth better than a shining lie? Now, go ahead. You tell me a story. I'll trade you some information about your task.
好的。将有关一对骨质的骰子骰在了铺满血红色天鹅绒的桌子上，骰出了2点，像是一对正在对你眨眼的蛇眼的故事，还不错诶。将有关每座建筑里都塞满了干湿的灰烬织成的故事，听起来也不错诶。将有关云雾散去，一片充满希望的丰饶之地映入眼帘的故事。有关各式各样门层层叠叠，每层门都通往更多扇门的故事。有关在夜里缓缓行驶，巨大车灯忽明忽暗、忽明忽亮的北行列车的故事。这个吧。
It's just luck. Funny how bad luck seems to follow the folks who already have problems aplenty. Well, try your luck out there in this country. See how the dice treat you. It's not all bad. You'll have to work hard, but I'll give you the gift for seeing the true shapes of people. Not many who can do that.
讲完就不能再讲。
I'll strip away your flesh to make the journey easier, but still you'll feel pain. Hunger, weariness, thirst, and despair. They're all part of stories, a part not often told. And death, yes, but don't worry. As long as your task remains, you come back. Your deepest desires, your greatest wish, heaven? Big Rock Candy Mountain, El Dorado, the Promised Land, that place just over the ridge where they all say that the water tastes just like the sweetest wine. Well, I don't know where that is. It's supposed to be somewhere in this country. Ask the people you meet. They're all searching for the... You sometimes have to make choices about what kind of story you're finding. Is it a love story or a tragedy? Don't gather too many of one kind, though. This grand story needs variety.
所以我是要拼写一个故事吗？
Travel? That's your job. Wander from place to place, gather those stories and spread them. People get bored hearing the same stories over and over. But an old cliché in one state might be a rip-roaring new yarn in another. Go on your way, seeker. Maybe we'll meet again, or maybe not. Either way, it'll be an experience for you. I'm jealous in some ways. I hope you find what you're looking for.
控制是什么 ？WSD Q 大便车，H 是 help，M 是地图，I 是东西，镜头互动 Space 口哨是 Ctrl。好，哦，这是什么？不行，我觉得它音乐还是有点大声。前面看起来有个故事哦。
This bungalow is being ransacked. There's furniture piled in the front yard, ammunition heaped under the mailbox, and a crowd of clean-cut men ripping apart a car in the driveway. The two heavily armed, mud-caked women leaning over the porch railing share the same bored grin. One shouts at you. Lend a couple innocent gals a cigarette? You are about to hand her a smoke when those men draw pistols and shove you hard into the dirt. You know these girls? They demand. Once they've dumped your bag out into the road, they decide you're harmless. If you were selling booze too, you'd have a lot more cash, sneers one. On the porch behind him, the two bootleggers are fingering their empty rifles, grinning in disappointment.
My tale, my vagrant song.
Canada 哦 ，Canada 跟 USA 哦，那里有间房子诶。哇，没故事。所以我们要沿着这个路吗？还是只是公路啊？为了履行你对二郎先生的承诺义务，你的目标是寻找分身在美国各地共16位角色，和他们互相讲故事，直到取得他们的信任，并完成他们的故事情节。你可以透过历险来收集故事，遇到角色时，他们会请你讲述不同类型的故事，悲伤的、希望的、吓人的。请记住你经历了哪些类型的故事，以及你想收集哪些类型的故事。一旦你把故事讲给某个角色听过了，故事就会随着你的讲述而发生演绎，在世间流传。随后，你可能会从其他人那边听到改良过的版本，你再去讲那些改良过的版本，更丰富于戏剧性，但务必确认讲出不同的故事，这样你才有机会令这些故事得到充分的演绎。你从其他角色那边获得的故事具有通配性，他们可能匹配5种故事类型的其中任何一种，然而讲述这种故事时，不一定起得到演绎。讲述这种故事，相当于同时放弃了让同分类下其他故事得到演绎的机会，所以请谨慎考虑。好难，不懂什么意思？最简便就是步行，但走得很慢。你可以吹口哨来加快，按住相对应键，保持精神状况，可以加速前进。你还可以抓火车，爬火车来精准的到你想去的地方，但得冒着被铁路警察殴打的风险。想爬火车就找个能停火车的地方，比较安全是搭便车。想搭便车就按住搭便车，同时在有车经过路旁，不是每辆车都会停下来，他们不会一直载着你，但安全。最后你是有点现金，就到城市里乘坐旅客列车。好， 我看前面有个小村落了。
Off the road and into the woods, you can't help but come across this package by the old tree tied to a sturdy stick. The cloth wrapping conceals, though not particularly well, something large and soft.
不会是个小孩吧？
The shape gives a start. Please don't tell my pa that I'm in here, it says in a small voice. Pa doesn't want to live with us anymore, but I want to go with him. Don't tell him, please. I'm hiding. You tell the boy you'll keep his secret. You don't see his father anywhere. You don't see another soul for miles.
这口哨怎么吹啦？
They don't come every year, you know. The old man is sitting at the edge of a rotting old pier, crooked legs dangling over the water. He watches a pair of seagulls preen and groom each other on a rock just off the shore. They seem to wait for something together, fidgeting and rubbing against one another. And when they fly off, they fly together. These two, these same two, have been coming here ever since I was a boy, the old man says. He watches them fly away until their bodies are dots vanishing into the low sun. The woman walks the small town square with the poise of Betty Davis. A confident stride and inimitable mannerisms elevating the sidewalk into a plush Hollywood carpet. And wrapped around her neck, a yellow velvet ribbon, bright as an ocean sunrise. You question a well-dressed man parked outside an oyster house. Prudish woman. I took her on a fine date and she didn't remove so much as a ribbon. Excuse me, can you step back from the coupe? That's the spirit. You decide to seek a second opinion. You talk with a waitress smoking outside a diner. Something funny about her. Just showed up one day. Doesn't work, doesn't live anywhere far as I know. Just around. A longshoreman watches stevedores load up a crane. Yellow ribbon? That woman's dead. Ghost dead. Buddies of mine, they've seen her all over the Atlantic for decades now.
Ah! 这台车经过了。
You can see storm clouds on the horizon, and you don't relish the thought of being caught wandering this rocky seaside road in the rain. At the top of an ornate wrought iron spiral, you're breathless and feeling the strain on your knees. Rain already batters the walls outside. Looks like we got a visitor. Sounds like a man's voice, deep and rough. Well, behave yourself. I'll open the door. Another man, this one with a higher, more sonorous voice. I always behave myself. He feigns indignation, but his tone betrays affection instead. After a moment, The door unlatches from the inside and opens. The man before you is tall and muscular, with a hint of a paunch beneath his wide chest. The heavy iron knob on the door. Despite the rough exterior, this room looks like a well-appointed parlor. There's a rug on the well-trod wooden floor, and an enormously plush couch. And sat upon it is a stock.
这两个选择都有点冒犯人吧？
Hazel, a few years. The tall one sits on the sofa, wrapping his arm casually around the other lighthouse keeper. 5, says the smaller. But you wake up the next morning on their old sofa, still warm from an excess of tea.
"哦，这是指最后的那个。搭便车怎么搭啊 ？Q。啊！错过了。波士顿，哦，酷哦，怎么有点像大风的感觉？赚点钱好了。感冒啦。
This city is like no other you've been to. Crooked streets splay out in a maze of narrow
没
passages.
钱了。
Unable to afford rescue, you keep walking. The asphalt turns to crooked cobblestones that threaten to wrench your ankle out of place. It's hard finding your way through in pitch darkness. You go by touch and sound, feeling the scale of the streets by the... You quiet yourself, suddenly fearful. The clear sky tells you it's not thunder,
やばい。
but cannon fire. When you come to, there's no sign of the commotion, the war that you were just caught in. The... 看，我买了就要现在喝哦。哼哼，没钱了。 A dusty truck and a man on horseback pull up next to one another in front of the grocer. The man with the truck leaps into the street. "Brother!" he shouts. The one on the horse tumbles out of his saddle. "Brother!" he screams. They embrace in the road. 30 years, hollers the driver. The rider, tears streaming down over his face, corrects him. "No, 32! Everyone here is watching these two older men cry and hug one another in the middle of Main Street. Cars and wagons are backing up. People, the long-lost brothers, pose in front of traffic. Cry snot.
哇，碎啦！
As angry
嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟，95是什么意思啊？看，那是我来的地方，要许我趁走去。前面那里有个火焰。
As you walk along the river near an unfinished bridge, men with a tool belt catch a sight of you. "Hey, over there."
好，
"Great," he exclaims. "Suppose you'll want a safety belt." You find yourself up high, looking over the rushing river. You ask him to explain. "Practice your peripheral vision, if you dare." You only see the clouds thicken. It sure does, Pat.
赚钱喽！来看一下这个火是要上来小的营地。哎呦，张解
Hey
鱼
there, stranger. You're welcome to enjoy this fire with me, if you're respectful, that is.
当然，
This here is my spot, and I ain't inclined to share it with any bad characters. These here are my venturing companions. Kaz is the big un, and the one with the spots is Flip.
贝根跟爸爸。
I usually beat my way on the rails, but the road news said this town was fat, and the weather was fine. So I'm taking in the sights and seeing what I can drum up. I want to hear one of them venturing tales. Got any?
对方就会援引个人生平和你说一些关于爱情之类的话题。夜晚来临时，就是上面此图是会从左标图标从左向右移动，当图标移动到最右边的时候，代表夜晚结束，故事也进入尾声。你的交谈对象通常会告诉你他们接下来要去哪里。如果你投其所好的给他们讲故事，就能获得他们的信任，而眼睛图示就会睁开。当眼睛图示完全睁开时，下次重逢，他们就会敞开心胸讲自己的生平故事。通过对话会逐步的达到此状态。初次见面时，不用刻意让眼睛变成睁开状态，旁敲侧击。他说想要听个冒险的故事。这个听起来很冒险。这个听起来很冒险。
Well, that sure was a downer. Give me a good venture tale instead any day.
我觉得很冒险啊。
My family. There ain't no way I'm gonna start jaw flapping about those bastards. Judases, the lot of them. Enough said. You got any happy stories?
Happy story 哦。干！那不能讲了，可恶！这个黑皮吗？这个黑皮吗？
Now that's a happy story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't know a whole lot about the past, but they say there's an Injun grave around these parts. Say it's haunted and full up with angry spirits. I used to love hearing stories of cowboys and Injuns fighting it up. Would swap tales with the youngins. But, well, I suppose if someone shot me, I'd be pretty vengeful too. I want to hear a story about ghosts or murderers or something. Scary stuff.
没了啦，没了啦，这叫够神秘了吧？这是我唯一神秘的了。
Ain't life got enough tearjerkers in it without telling stories like that? Traveling, I sure do love it. I seen serpent trains passing on a green and gold sea. I seen mountains so tall. I once seen a bunch of townies skinny dipping in a river. That sure was something. I seen terrible things too. Biblical floods and Hey, tell me one of those exciting.
带劲的没有啦。硬讲啦，干。
Whoa.
Ooh.
Quite a story, stranger. Freedom. Well, teacher used to talk about freedom like America was eat up with it. But the tramping kind seems to be just about the only real freedom still in supply. Ain't no freedom from an empty stomach or bad weather, unless you're rich. You got any happy stories?
我没有了啦，别逼我讲这个啦。这个可以拼吗？
Not sure I quite follow that. Authority. Bosses, I ain't nobody's little Angelina if that's what you're asking. Take care. I don't need no jocker looking out for me. So if you're offering, don't. You want to keep enjoying my spot or not? Oh, heck. The night's over already. I sure enjoyed talking to you, but I gotta get on. I think I'll see what's happening up the road this way.
这路看起来长到不行哎，我怎么知道他要去哪里？
The tramping life suits me just fine. With things being so depressed, folks walk around like it's the end of everything good. Plenty nice things to see if you know where to look.
Dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when that ferryman comes,
按住左 Ctrl 可。 哦，我懂了啦，按住 Ctrl， 然后右手按方向键，然后等他跳到那里的时候再按上去。
A few wanderers like you are looking for a place to camp.
We heard there's a Leatherman cave nearby.
著名的流浪汉。
They describe a locally. You and the other wanderers find the cave easily. His coat is crudely stitched from leather plates that squeak against each other. One of the others whispers, "A ghost." The Leatherman must have heard. He's eating, you say, and point out his can of beans. Je ne suis pas un fantôme, the Leatherman says, and adds, Idiot. Oh, bursts your companion. Canadien? Soon, he and the Leatherman are...
my tale, my vagrant song.
听故事。
My tale, my vagrant song.
啊，我怎么听？我有办法听吗？我自己不能听哦。95是什么意思啊 ？New Year。
Bare bones of the earth, I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when that very
唉，先赚钱呢。
I'm gonna heft my spade upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep that stride stuck in my soul. 'Cause
The engines belch black smoke as the ferry churns gray water into froth. A broad-shouldered... I wish you didn't have to go, she says. There's got to be work on some of those buildings going up. His thumb skates over her pulse point. I checked every day for a week. There ain't. I'll be back, though. Got your picture in my wallet, don't I? Her words are split by a sob. Might as well be. My parents didn't come to New York for this. She leans against him, the wind tousling her hair. He pulls her to his chest. I'm leaving because I gotta go. If there was another way...
well, I'm gonna cast my stone.
哦，我知道哦，波士顿、华盛顿、底特律。天哪，
I'll see them
有进步。
alone. 'Cause when the night come down,
新泽西到了。
my vagrant song.
哇，费城在前面呢、啊，那怎么又是你呀、他说话时并不动作，好屌。
The stream is a clear, reflective shade of blue.
Oi,
Unusual in this
这是什么？
region, where bog iron colors the river's brown, you now notice the unnatural absence of wildlife. No fish swim in the stream. No birds sing in the trees. Over the hill, a scorched one-room house lies abandoned. Two of its four walls. The goat opens its mouth and wails. The winged goat doesn't follow. Instead, it lies down inside the burnt house.
哦，这听起来很屌。哎，我看到2个萤火了。嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟，我扛得住。嗨，
Stranger, it's good to see you again. You know, I already seen 10 whole states. Plenty of townies and even some tramps treat me like I'm kid simple. But I ain't helping. I do right fine on my own. Don't need nobody but... I want to hear a story about goat.
Go。哎，干，按下去就是了，按太快了。
You spin a good yarn. I was shivering there for a little bit. The past is just that. Past. I want to hear one of the...
冒险哦。
That was a chuckle to be sure, Faith. Well, I ain't the religious type, though I reckon I don't see no point to trusting such a situation don't exact... Hey, tell me a funny story.
我没有好笑的故事啊。
I don't get too much out of tale. There you go. Like I said, don't need nobody but my dog. He gets riled now and again, but he's good to have around most times. Hey, tell me one of those exciting...
带劲的是吧？
Were you trying to scare me? Sadness. In the city, they want you to feel like a giant among giants, like you can do anything. But I seen them shanty camps. Cities serve to make the small feel... Hey, do you got any really...
我没啦。
Heading out this early? Well, travel... Where are you going to? Decided yet? Maybe our paths will cross. I'm going up the road this way myself.
啊？哪条？哦，蓝色的吗？啊？不是吧？蓝色，好啦，我们遇到再说好了，我也不知道他要去哪里。
Hope I'll see something fun. I generally do, you know.
Low tide on a moonless night. This beach is long, stretching toward a... It outshines the stars with its presence, a streak of sickly colored light, leaving a trail of distorted fire. It slowly creeps along the sky like a vast worm. Its parabola heads south to north. In the far distance, just for a second,
这要先 check 了吧？
boardwalk town.
哎呦，Mason，哦哦，
My twin brother Paul and I always got into trouble, but we were good.
这家伙感觉会很想听我的悲伤故
We
事
didn't
啊
do。nothing to anybody till we left. Then we hurt a lot of people. Me, more so than Paul, because he, well, the march I was on, the bonus army. It's less a bonus and more an acknowledgement of what I've had to say. Know any good jokes? I'm not so good at telling. I don't really scare at that stuff anymore.
哦
Sorry. My wishes come true? Well, do you know any happy stories? Hopefully. For a moment there. My family. They were. Some days I wish I could find Jesse again and have her help me. Tell me a happy. I liked that one. The past doesn't even feel when your memories come back to you. So anyway, tell me a funny story? You seem like you know a few good ones.
哪那么多好故事啊？
Oh, come on. That doesn't sound real. Freedom is getting paid what you deserve. Freedom is the ability to be free. Know any good jokes?
我真的要没了，我真的要没故事啊！你别再问了。
Wish I could tell that one to my sister.
哦哦哦！
My faith? I gave the fuckers so many chances to make me. Here's the sun. I've gotta go. I'm headed up the road this way. Will our paths cross?
请问，全是沿着哪一条？看，请问是沿着哪一条了？
Days come and go and the terrors return. What about you?
.那边怎么又有那个啦？是新的人吗？干，怎么是他啊？啊，走这么近，嗨！
First, Ma and Pa wanted me and Paul on the front lines. They wanted someone to be proud of. Then the government wanted me to take an IOU, and I did. When there were no more jobs, I, along with thousands of others like me, went and General MacArthur was so scared of us, he brought in goddamn tanks to keep us from tearing apart. So anyway, tell me a funny story? Life ain't like that, and my family won't look at me anymore. I cannot put them through that. Know any good jokes? My journey? If you look at it, if you take it day by day, then Paul used to collect scary stories. Do you know a good one? Sounds like one of those scary stories Paul would have told me. Sadness? It didn't come immediately. When Paul died, it left me feeling like half of me was missing. You don't get a connection like that. The emptiness didn't last. It filled itself with sadness not long after. Tell me, happy.
我没有开心的故事了，别逼我了，我不愿告诉你呀。
Where are you headed? Back to the road? No, I should be leaving soon too. The road takes me this way next.
Huh?
Where's it taking you?
啊，你又去哪里了？啊，你人去哪里了？看哪条路啦？啊 ，New Year，OK。
I wish there was a road I could take home. Home as I knew it. It's something I think the road is helping me to understand.
华盛顿，赚钱先。好贵。
The mailman's uniform is dated and worn. He sits on the edge of the road, head in hands. The letter's addressed to a James Gibson Sr., 120 J Street. But the city stymies you. The block's over here. A woman in a brown coat overheard your question. As you round the corner, the world changes. J Street is a place out of time.
好
The
像
man
很
who
屌欸。
answers is ancient and stooped. He peers at the letter. I think it's from my son. I
Wow.
don't see so well anymore.
啊
Can you read it to me?
怎么办？
You tear the letter open. It isn't good news.
左边吧。
He fights it, but his face crumbles. Tears roll down his...
感觉就是孩子战死了之类的故事。 干桥不可以走是不是？扒车扒车。看。每次至少做到一个我不知道在哪里的地方。哎呦！
We need a sixth, she told you, beckoning from the steps of a great dark mansion. And just like that, your host keeps her eyes closed as she beseeches the spirits of the dead. The whole table starts to shake, threatening to lift right off the ground. And then, the damned candles are dancing in mid-air around you now, singeing a hair here and there off the coiffed heads of the... When you come to your senses, sunrise has begun to creep in. The parlor is empty, but for you and the woman in the old-fashioned dress, who slumped dejectedly over the table.
He didn't show up. All that sound and fury, and no sign of his spirit.
Dun 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 dun。赞哦！不知道往哪里去，干。
Excusez-moi.
Beckoning you over, the woman shows you a letter. Beautiful. You are dismayed to read the first paragraph. Lorem ipsum dolor sit amet. And the address under the monogram in the letterhead. 12345 Road Street, Anytown, USA. The woman blinks. This place doesn't exist, you try to explain as loud and slowly. You emerge from the underbrush and find yourself at the edge of a field. A farmhouse sits. The family is almost too nice to you. When you ask for water, halfway through your glass, you notice someone moving furtively down by the house. The cuffs of his white shirt are stained red. The father sees your look and shifts to block your view. His wife arrives with a bag full of sandwiches for you, and the whole family ushers you back.
这是什么？什么奇怪故事？哎，
Faded shotgun houses sit in rows under the tall shadow. As you shut the door, the man glances up. You glance over the man's shoulder to see inside the compartment. He hands you a can of whole potatoes, then a leaflet which reads, "No evictions, no Bible me. You don't know James 5:1.
下来我一层吧，停下来 ，No。No， 哦，这汤看起来有远哦。我怎么下车？干，不能下车哦。
He sings as he works, his voice warm and soft as the making molasses, he says to your unasked question. I sell the black stripe in town. Got some set aside. He comes back with a murky. You help him haul the barrels over to the metal boiler. You pour in the juice. No fence, gate, or sign marks the entrance to the cemetery. A wood board, bleached white. Unknown. You're already quiet, so maybe it's silly. A sparrow calls. Seems birds don't have much. Looks nicer now. But
Evening there. You looking for a sermon or just a chat? Don't really matter, frankly. First thing I ever learned behind the pulpit is that every homily is just a conversation. Ain't as one-sided as you might think. Preachers ain't shepherds. They're cowboys. They got to run with the flock. Keep 'em. So how about you take a seat? Anyway, why don't you tell me a That's how it is, huh? Well, maybe you ain't seen as much of this travel. Oh, I travel. Moving's in my blood. I've been everywhere. Chicago, New York, Atlanta, Houston, Los Angeles. Paris. I even been to Paris. I've been everywhere. Lately, my journey's been pretty ordinary.
曲折的故事。
Huh. That one's trying to be dreams come true? Well, there are two sorts. Heaven is as real as God, but it's the promise of the after. Hey, do you have any spook? Oh, you could rattle a congregation's sadness? No. We have to be salve. Folks like me can't be. Anyway, why don't you tell me a scare?
给我听恐怖故事啊，一个不够就对了。
Oh, you got me for a second with that one. The past. Huh. My earliest putting on voices. This was back. Hey, do you have any spook?
还要听鬼故事啊？你也爱这些嘞？
Oh, you could rattle a congregation's bones, I bet. Luck? Forget about it. See, you focus on luck. Instead, think on and learn to do it right. Well, I gotta get moving on. I have a sermon to give in the morning, and the church is a long night walk. Walk like you're blessed, child.
啊，这里怎么都没故事？ Georgia 没故事啦。我要去前面那个地方咯，没有其他地方有故事好扯。
First tree in a mile, and it's a stout myrtle with bald branches. You cool down in the shade. The dense sound of many conversations cuts your nap short. There's no one around.
Can't get enough. Porcelain, chrome, the rusty ones. Gotta turn those sleek faucets. Ever find me in a hardware store, I'm gonna haunt it till the...
那边有一个故事啊。嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟。
A family of 9 invites you into their home for a meal. During supper, the hard wind puts an awful burden on the walls. The glass dishes rumble on the table, but the mother's heavy sigh gives you the impression her children ask this often.
永生的海鸥。
His smile lights up the room. Or rather, the cat sure doesn't help much. A round of applause erupts.
Remember now who gets you there on the advertised. Casey Jones.
Everyone's all talk.
Casey Joe。
The blistering sun has scared even birds into the shade. But a middle-aged woman and a young couple are... The three of them rush over to you, suddenly re-ent.
'Cause when my coals burn low and my trains run out of track,
嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟。上古战士啊。
The cave is really a man-made hole, breaching into...
Readying these for sale, friend. Why, these skulls belong to no one.
Little sunlight reaches that deep in.
Oh.
But you can still see the skeletal remains. Their heads carelessly removed, laying neatly in their... You pause and consider this small man, greedily arranging someone's remains as though it's crude and ridiculous. But he's a crude and ridiculous man. You have...
this will be my tale, my vagrant song. Yeah, this will be my
Miami， 是迈阿密啊。
You look good, honey. You got a life? You like a good... I like to hear about people. I like to hear about the weird, handsome people. Get convinced by the rich jackasses who'll play... I want to be around furious people who come close. Hey, got it. Sweetheart, did I say I wanted to hear some? I used to think it was adventure, you know, conversations. Gosh, the suckers. I love to watch suckers lose. You know, hey, got. What do I want to be? I want to be the beautiful. Hell, maybe I can find a job. Hey, got.
哇，这家伙好难取悦啊！
Quit it, stranger. That sweet nonsense. I thought about starting one of the ones that wins or buys the brand, and I could just never tell them what happened to my belly. And got any stories with ghosts?
哦，鬼魂谋杀，这个我就有了，来听听这个吧，我的拿手鬼故事。哈
Maybe in the end, last night I lay back and looked at the stars. All I got from that person was this trinket. But me? I'm a worthless woman. No one admires no cunning. Hey, got.
看，
I
Hey.
remember my stepdaddy. He had a soft touch for me. He taught me how to grift. All you need is that. I know what it's like to have those eyes. Next time, why don't we spend some time with bourbon and 5-card stud? You bring the bourbon, of course.
好难取悦哦，干只中了一个故事。
You rest in a field where a well-dressed stranger talks your ear off on all manner of subjects. The weather, fireflies, and
Death bones. Heard 'em rattle like clank, clink, clank. More startling than wind chimes. That don't matter. I'm fine. Got my savior waiting at the pearly gates. Sure was good to meet you.
the man pauses, rubs his chin.
'Cause when that ferryman comes for the tally of my worth, I won't leave much to find that can be found. Heft my spade up upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep the last rites tucked in my soul. 'Cause when my
You've enjoyed a break on the beach, staring off the edge of the... He smiles weakly. I just got fired. First Spanish-American radio host in the state, and I could try the docks, but there's already more men than... He calms as the sun drops below the horizon. An expanse of darkness is ahead. It takes you a moment to notice his sobbing over the noise of the waves. I've got to tell them, haven't I? I'll go to the port in the morning and see...
哇，没翻译到故事，但这个蛮赞的。亚特兰大 （New Orleans），这我不知道在哪里耶。哦哦哦，这马的可以怎样？变成灰色的吗？我感觉坐火车喽！没钱了，到新的城市赚钱。你和比，嘿嘿嘿。
Lenny's Antiques has a heady smell. Polish, maybe, or She sets a tray on the counter. On it sits a hodgepodge of stitched leather.
I don't want your money. You got something better.
She licks her lips, holds out a flat palm. Her knife is fast. She slices a thin line across your palm, then snatches your hand and squeezes. As you reach the door, a man calls after you.
Is this your
看，你要养哦，你要养哦。新奥尔，干，你有直接翻新哦，是这样吗？啊，这是我的路线，哇哇，超大哎，超大哎，我只走了超边边的这一小块而已。去大个边。那个边带回来。
gonna heft my spade up upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep lacerates tucked in my soul. 'Cause when my coals burn low and my trains run out of track, won't be no one else to dig my hole. Well, I got no companion except the wind and the sea. And when I'm cold and empty, they're the ones who'll bury me. Well, I'm gonna cast my stones o'er the waters of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. When the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song. Yeah, this will be my tale, my vagrant song. Well, I'm gonna scrawl my name on the bare bones of the earth. I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when that ferryman comes for to tally up my worth, I won't leave much to find that can be found. Well, I'm gonna heft my spade up upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep lacerates tucked in my soul. 'Cause when my coals burn low and my trains run out of track, won't be no one else to dig my hole. I'm gonna scroll my name on the bare bones of the earth. I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when that ferryman comes for to tally up my worth, I won't leave much to find that can be found. Well, I'm gonna heft my spade up upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep lacerites tucked in my soul. 'Cause when my coals burn low and my trains run out of track, won't be no one else to dig my hole. Well, I got no companion except the wind and the sea. And when I'm cold and empty, they're the ones who'll bury me. Well, I'm gonna cast my stone
干，我发觉有点太早起。
of this land, and by I'll see them far and long. When the
Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
It's the midday, and yet this whole neighborhood is eerily quiet.
哇塞，
You get behind a car, putting the engine block and running down the cobblestone street. A man in fine, blood-spattered clothes. The men responsible, 3 abreast in dark overcoats and wide hats, walk up to him.
干那么屌的。
There's a truck parked here.
We've been surveying, he said. It's my job to study soil health.
The trunk has a map. It's an official-looking map, but the state borders and rivers are wrong. Half your county is missing.
I've met a lot of people like you on this road. There's something you want from a desire that's... Does being out here feed? It's that way for me. Living in a state of motion, resting. I've been a wandering ghost for a while now, but that's a fate I should have known. I'm a poet, after all. I need an optimistic... That's a good one. The past haunts me. There was a time when it felt like Silas and I, now, I don't know how to describe. Imagine that. The one thing I thought I could do. Sometimes I want to hear a sadness, though. The tragedy in that story, the space you give to love, that's an old truism. Still, the way I felt about the whiplash from that alone out here, I spend too much.
这是哪一个故事啊？
I like that one. I had a family. We were close. When I think about any of them now, though, I can feel poison rising in my chest. They didn't do anything wrong. It's just that the situation with Silas ruined my... Being jilted plays a... Sometimes I want to hear... Hey, you don't need to try and cheer me. The future, well, it's good. Of course, we both know. Not many people I know seem to have... Personally, I don't think what... Sometimes I want to hear... That one was like getting locked out in the cold. Change. Our friend Pauline, she had a big house and a husband. We were all kinds of people. Each was hard to believe that's all. I miss the old group. But on top of them, in my memory, you ever meet someone so far above everyone else? It's like they were from a different plane. All that was him. A divine Silas was part of the group, but at this, we all held him in respect. We were in awe of his power, as I still love him. Look, I'm headed out this way. If you find...
好那个，好那个。
The baby buffalo lies tangled by a fence, wire biting into its flesh. Please, it says, I must reach the sanctuary before they find me. They were hunters of my kind. I am the last born. Every year it repeats. The wire cuts into your hands, but you untangle the animal. You run alongside the buffalo. Not far. It grunts. Just ahead. You see the boundary. A line of rocks that mark. You snatch up the beast and run for the boundary line. All you can. The buffalo crosses the line and turns with a defiant bellow. A primal sound that falls.
那看起来是沙漠哎。干这么短？
There's something wrong about this lonely farmhouse. The cows have unusual rain. The moment you step inside the fence, an old woman screams. Hey! You can see a parlor set up in the basin under the porch. A flowery armchair. A rug. A little lacquered table.
This is an inhabited home.
The old lady.
That's right.
She shouts.
I'm a grown woman. I could live any way I please.
Oh, 丹佛。哦，
Howdy, stranger. You passing through? I grew up on my Uncle Eddie's ranch, where I learned riding and cattle rustling, but it's government land. Now I'm traveling around the ranches that are left. Some folks would call me a cowboy. Name's Raymond Edward Dawson, Ray for short. And this sleeping beauty over here is Poncho. But anyway, oh, come on. There's places out here so hot. But anyway, you know... Damn, amigo, that's sad as hell. It was love at first sight. And when that sun finally... So... Oh, come on, amigo. You and I can... Joy? Nothing in front or behind. But anyway, amigo... Amigo, who do you think I am? Authority? I see your badge ain't gonna save you from an empty can. Man's only authority in the dead. So... My only family was Uncle. Now, it's this, even without the... Anyway, so I'm headed out. Going up this way, staying off the road. I'll get...
Jagged sandstone rises above the lip of a hollow basin in the rock. A crowd is gathered in the foothills. Their excited the voices around you are heightened by the surrounding stones. A woman steps forward. The crowd parts for her. She opens.
Ha. 前面的路看起来超危险的。看起来根本没有房子啊！
The railway was a fast route between two towns, but the oil which promised to make each town rich was never there. Your motion disturbs the bird, takes off with an air of disdain. The buffalo, Mary, I can't wait longer. Ran out of food, so had to hunt. I hate it. I said the rider did not make it far. Some 200 yards across the track is a body on its back. It stinks. Marks in the dirt indicate someone. The clothes at the front are bloody and torn where they've been pecked by birds. There's no obvious wound that hasn't been inflicted after death.
不行不行，没血了没血了。那就先这样，今天先这样好了。 跟我想象中有点不一样啊。它是，类似都是这种让故事进化，但是感觉更想要玩的是能够清楚的知道故事的内容，就是它进化的内容我都不知道，有点可惜。我想要是能够知道进化故事，故事进化之后会变成什么样的故事。也许最后面进化到最后的时候 ，Return to Miami， 我就可以回到迈阿密了。好啦，总而言之，今天就先到这了。之后可能会再玩，应该还是会玩啦，会把它玩完，但会不会那么时间是什么时候就不确定了。先这样，晚上再说吧。